Take the floor.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I appreciate it. I got to know Dr. Kolovik a few months ago when he became one of our customers, and you've been nothing but nice to me, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, hello, everyone, and thank you for coming in. Let me just share my screen so that we can actually get this started. Am I sharing the correct one? All right, so let me give you a little bit about background, even though Doctor actually gave some background about me, just to so that you know why we are here and why do I know anything about the industry. So my background is actually technology. So years ago, I actually ran technology companies, created software companies, Silicon Valley type companies. And in 2015, I got into dentistry. I had a DSO with multiple practices. I've been intimately familiar with the ins and outs of the dental office, more than I want to admit to. And then we built a software for it. We've been in the operation of it. And then that software got acquired. And this one, Viva AI is a software that we built that I wish I had back then, in terms of, and we're going to go over what AI can do and what's possible, what's not. But that's kind of the background of how I got here. I have Elaheh here, our Chief Scientist Officer, and she will introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Thank you again for taking the time and being here. My name is Elaheh Ahmadi. I'm the Chief AI Scientist and one of the co-founders at Viva AI. My background is computer science and AI. I got my degree from MIT in computer science. And my previous company that I co-founded was focused on building and deploying reliable and trustworthy AI application. So super excited to be here and to tell you guys more about AI and how you can use it in your practices.
All right. So the first thing is we're going to go over what should you even care about, AI in your practice. We're going to talk about different types of AI that apply to a dental practice. But as you can imagine, at the top of the list is boosting efficiency, as in it's going to make it so that your practice runs more smoothly and people can focus on what they are good at. So just to be very clear, the AI, at least the way it is today, and probably for a good amount of years moving forward, it's not here to replace anyone. The idea is AI is going to do, let's say, what AI is good at in communication, automating communication, things that AI is good at, so that your office staff or your providers, depending on what sort of AI we are actually focusing on, can focus on things that AI is just not good at it, like talking to patients in person, kind of connecting with them, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, if you have an office with, 6 front staff, that may need 6 front staff, you may not, if you use an AI, you may be able to get with like 3 front staff and have the same kind of input. But it's not about removing the whole team or just being completely automated. At the end of the day, it's about boosting efficiency. The second one, which is very important, is mitigating legal and compliance risk by minimizing human errors. But there are other aspects of this. So as you will see here and there, and probably throughout the presentation, there are aspects of the AI that not only would reduce human errors, which is very helpful because most of the court cases are related to somebody in the office made a mistake, didn't document things or things like that. But also AI actually knows what to document, how to document, like it can actually transcribe all your calls, put them in the right order, so that if somebody, a patient goes later on and goes, hey, I didn't ask for this treatment, you can always have it searchable, kind of go back, go to that documentation, and it will actually even prepare a whole log of all of that communication so that you can actually mitigate your risk. And there are all sort of this nature that can be done by AI in a way that the risk that you might otherwise have to go through legal risk is actually minimized. The other one is enhancing patient satisfaction. So specifically talking about operational AI, which is doing administrative work. Let's just an example, if your after-hour office is closed and a patient is calling, right? So the best experience is somebody answering that call, even though it's outside of the business hours. So some of you I know they are using the like answering services, but none of those ones are as good as your own dental as good as your own receptionist. They are just not. They don't have an access to your practice management software, or they may not know the ins and outs. They usually have like a script that they go through. So the experience that you're going from them is just not great. The other one is, let's say during business hours, if the office is busy and your staff is going back and forth between the front desk and the back to kind of present treatments, go over payments, things of that nature, and they don't get to the phone, the call would go to the voicemail. But if you have an AI answering it just like the same way, and that's a big caveat, right? So you don't want an AI to be the same as what a Bank of America AI is and just ruin the experience, and we will cover those cases. But if it's truly a good experience, patients would actually enjoy it. And at the end of the day, it kind of gets to my last point, as in increasing your top line and bottom line. So it not only helps by creating more production for your office, maybe by improving your treatment acceptance, which we will cover as to how the AIs can actually do. It also reduces your overhead, which improves your bottom line. So at the end of the day, it's running a business more efficiently and kind of making life easier for everybody involved. Now, just going over the different topics that we're going to cover quickly. So first, Elaheh will talk about what AI is, understanding the AI fundamentals, how AIs work. Then we cover clinical versus operational AI. These are two very distinct categories of AI. We will talk about what AI can and cannot do, what you can expect an AI to do, and what you cannot, at least with today's technology, you cannot expect an AI to do. We explore operational applications for AI in specifically for dentistry. And then at the very end, we'll give you some very specific kind of steps and agenda to look at when you are maybe considering choosing an AI for your office, as to what are the categories, what may or may not fit your specific office, because something that may work for a certain type of practice may not work exactly for another type. So we will kind of give you some practical ways to choose a product if you're ever in looking for something like this. So I'll leave it to Elaheh to talk about AI.
Okay, so what is AI? You can think about AI like a newborn baby that essentially you can teach it any task, and it can learn that task by being exposed to examples of how to actually complete that task. So let's use an example. Imagine in your office, you want to have an intelligent way to send reminder to patients about when their appointment is happening, in a way that will actually increase the likelihood of patients showing up to their appointment. So what an AI would do would look at what has happened in the past in your office, and it will learn from that to figure out what is an optimal way of reaching out to patients. So one thing that might catch you by surprise, or you might already know that, is that you're actually surrounded by many AI applications on a daily basis. So the Siri in your phone is an example of conversational AI. There are the suggestion that you see on your streaming services or on the retail apps, online retail apps that you use, is an example of an AI. So there's a lot of AI applications that we're interacting with on a daily basis, and I'm excited to tell you more about how they work. So how does an AI actually learn? One way to think about it is essentially let's use figuring out when is a good time to send an appointment reminder to the patient. So one way that an AI can learn to do this task is by essentially looking at the history of your patients over the many years that you've been running your practice, and figuring out when was the good times that your staff sent a reminder and those patients ended up showing up to the appointment, and where were some good times that the patients ended up not, or canceling their appointment. And based on that historical data, learn the pattern of different patients, and then use that for new patients to send them reminders at the optimal time for that specific patient. This is a task that for humans is going to be very tedious and hard to do, but AIs do an amazing job at. Another way to train an AI is kind of like going back to the baby example, letting the AI explore on its own. So if you don't have a lot of data in your practice for whatever reason, you can let the AI do some like experiments for a period of time. So AI would send reminders at certain times to some patients and other reminders at other times to other patients. And over time, it will learn that, okay, if I do this, this will actually result in better outcome. And over time, it would improve itself and become a service that is efficiently getting your patients to show up to their appointments. So to sum up, essentially AI learns a pattern that is underlying within the data or within the example of how to actually complete a task. So let's go over some more everyday examples. Let's start with the retail. Maybe you've already seen this, but if you shop at Amazon, if you look at the first page of your Amazon and your friend's Amazon page, you will see that actually what you see on the first page is completely different. That's because over the time that you've started using Amazon for shopping, their AI system has learned what are some of the things that you like, and so that they can show you stuff that you're going to be more likely to actually buying it. Another application that might be more relevant to you guys is the healthcare application. So there are a lot of softwares or even a lot of the imagery machineries that are being used in hospitals or in different practices. They either come with the software or there are softwares built for them that come as a suggestion. So when you take the image, there is a software that detects if there's any diagnosis that it can find in the imagery. So when the doctor is actually looking at it, the doctor can use that suggestion from the software as a second opinion or as an assistant. It's not a replacement for the doctor, but it's just a suggestion that like, oh, this is something abnormal that I'm seeing here. And these applications have been trained on years of patient data. Another example that you may have been interacting with is in the finance and fraud detection. So the way that these systems work is basically they learn your pattern of behavior over time. And if they find any abnormality, they alert you and they like send you a message or call you and like, was it actually you? And if you actually kind of like go back and think about it, most of the times that the system detected that was when you did an like unusual purchase, or if you had a purchase at a location that you usually do not go. So basically, we are interacting with a lot of AI system on a daily basis. And the goal of these AI systems are to take care of mundane and tedious tasks and to make our life easier so we can focus on more exciting and more challenging tasks. So how can you actually use AI in your field and in dentistry? Similar to other healthcare applications, there are softwares that are built for dentistry that can help detect diagnosis from the X-ray images, and you can use it as a suggestion or when you're submitting your insurance claim. On top of that, there are AI systems that can help automate the operational side of your business by automating communications such as phone calls, emails, texts, or by optimizing your schedule, or even completing some of the tasks that needs to happen around your office. Now I'll pass it to Farid.
All right. So we have one of our team members to that is monitoring the questions. So we do have a section at the very end that we will answer questions. We have like 15 minutes to answer questions. But if you have any questions that you want to actually discuss right now, feel free to use the chat feature and just send the questions. We have somebody that is monitoring the questions, and we will get to them. So I just wanted to make sure that if you have any questions, do let us know. Now we are gonna go specifically to dentistry. Before I actually dive a little bit deeper into this concept, I wanted to put it into two different distinct buckets. So there is operational AI and then there is clinical AI. And that's, I'm talking about in the context of dentistry. So clinical AI is that has anything to do with any diagnostics. And for now, that kind of where it ends. There is no AI today that is involved in actually doing any of the treatment side. But there is the diagnostic side that, you feed it x-rays and it will do some diagnostics there. And then there is the operational AI, which has nothing to do with the clinical side. It's mostly towards the three roles of the office receptionist, the office manager, and the treatment coordinator. And I'm talking about in the context of a single office, not a DSO or a larger kind of a group practice. But in a single office, that's where it is. Now, some of these roles may become one if the office is smaller. Some offices only have one person that is doing all of it. But distinctly speaking, these are the three categories. That would be answering patient communication, creating treatment options based on the exams from the doctor. That would be the treatment coordination and presenting it, getting the insurance costs and kind of figuring that out, or keeping an eye on the business side of the office in terms of, hey, what's the collection, what's the production, do we need to contact any of our patients for the balance that they have. All of these things kind of fall under the operational side and are something that for the most part AIs are capable of actually helping today. And we're going to talk about different aspects of it and where AI can actually come in. Now, on the diagnostic side, this is the only slide that I have for this, but I wanted to kind of talk about this as well so that we are not mixing the two. So there are two major companies that are actually doing this today in the US. There is Overjet and there is Pearl. They offer a product like this. The idea is that you take an X-ray with your CT, with your normal X-ray or whatever machine that you have. You feed it. Then the AI reads that image, and it comes up with something that you see on my screen on the left side. That is basically highlighting the areas of concern. It color codes it. It kind of makes it a little bit more understandable for patients. So the idea behind this is it helps in multiple kind of categories. First of all, let's say if it's a new patient that comes to your office, you have never met that patient, this helps as acting as like a second opinion. So if a patient comes in, you are telling them, hey, this is what you need. You can also like turn your monitor to them and say, hey, this is also the AI telling you these are the areas of needs that you actually need. This has been shown to improve the treatment acceptance, especially for new patients that they don't have that connection with the office yet, by up to around 35%. Hey, this is like a second opinion. Usually patients don't see it as like something that is connected. So the doctor saying one thing and the AI saying one thing, they see it as two different opinions. So they kind of see it as confirming each other. So that helps with treatment acceptance. The other one is obviously improving accuracy. So there might be something that the X-ray is not great. There are some shadows somewhere that somebody may miss. And AI will actually highlight it for the doctor to take a closer look or take another X-ray from a different angle to make sure that something is not missed. And the last one, some of these, like especially Overjet, I think, they have a kind of an agreement with bigger dental insurances. So there is Delta that they actually have an insurance kind of agreement with, and I think Aetna and some of the other ones, that if you guys use that software in your office and you use that AI for a treatment, you can have a printout of whatever recommendation the software did for that particular patient, attach it to the claim forms. And if you submit it with those forms, it's going to be expedited when they approve it, and they're going to kind of create less problems when they are approving those claims. Again, it's an insurance company, so it's not going to be great. You still have to do follow-ups. You still have to go through different hoops to get paid, which kind of falls under the AI, the operational AI side of it, that we will cover, that the AI operation can actually do all of those follow-ups. But it will definitely expedite kind of getting paid and kind of getting easier accepted claims on the insurance side. So now, just to kind of give you an idea as to the administrative operational tasks that the AI will help with, and we were going to go over this. So I'm going to just itemize it to, there is more than this, but just to kind of give you an idea. The first one that comes to mind right off the bat is answering incoming calls and emails and texts. So you all have some sort of a phone system in the office. Now, if the way we are looking at it in Viva, we are the phone company as well. So we give you the phone system as well as the AI side. But if you can technically think about it separately as to you have a phone system, but that somebody is calling. So the AI can technically answer your phone calls. And there are different levels of AI. But what we are talking about here is just talking to a person that is calling you through a like a normal way of looking at it, as like a normal human. You're just talking to a normal person, just like your staff. And that would be applied to your texts, emails, and everything in between. And another one is doing patient follow-ups. So it's not just about incoming calls. There are cases that your staff should start communicating with the patient externally. So, for example, if your schedule is light for the next 2 weeks, you expect somebody in your office to get a list of patients with unscheduled treatments, and because they know those patients, they know who is almost close to accepting a treatment, who is kind of they're never going to accept that treatment, things like that. They will get that list from your practice management software, and then they start calling them to see if they want to book an appointment coming. Things of that nature. Or if a patient has a balance on their account, if the insurance paid the portion and then there is still a balance left, you want somebody to call them and kind of get that balance. Things of that nature that requires somebody to call out and kind of make those calls. Another category is smart reminders and smart marketing campaigns internally. Elaheh kind of touched on the smart reminders as to find out when to send over what channel. As in, like, some patients would respond better if you send it as an SMS. At most of the automated solutions on the market, you just set it at a certain time and it will just work that way. But you could technically optimize it based on the actual person to get the highest reward. Same with your internal marketing campaigns. If you have a promotion for, let's say, Invisalign that is coming out next month or before the end of the year, AI can draft the message for you per patient, because some patients don't like long texts, don't like the shorter text. Some people may like longer communication. Some people may prefer email, SMS. You can actually outsource that, but because AI knows everything about all the patients all at once, it can customize it and improve the response rate to all of those. Another one is office performance tracking and analytics. So I'm sure a lot of you may have used or may have at least seen a lot of these tools, dental intel, things of that nature, that they have intelligence. They actually show you a lot of data in the office. At the end of the day, I know you guys are busy. And when I was running a dental office, and still, honestly, we are also busy. Having the data is one thing, and then looking at it and kind of deciding, okay, so what does this mean? What should I do with it is another. AI can take away that pain. So I remember when I had the DSO, we had dental consultants that we would hire that was their job. So they would go to different offices that we had. They would sit and listen to how the calls were being answered. They would look at the PMS. They would look at the patients, the production collection. They correlate these things and come up with recommendations, as in, Melissa in the office, when they are talking to new patients about insurance, these are the points that they need to improve on. Or your collection, when you're coming to the office, when they are leaving the office, you have to say such and such and such to make them, pay the amount, things like that. Now, AI can actually do this. AI not only can have the access to the data, but instead of giving you the raw data so that then you have to go do the work, AI can just give you the actions that you need to take. It actually will look at the data, and you can say, hey, how can extension 101 Melissa improve when they are talking to patients about insurance? And it will give you all the recommendations based on the conversations that it would actually have access to. So these are the things that AI can do on the performance tracking. Another big category is insurance verification, claim submission, and follow-ups. I kind of talked about it a little bit, but the idea of verification, there are tools for that, but unless you actually have an AI version, it's not going to be accurate. Because at the end of the day, I know you guys may be using some tools for verification, and then at the end of the day, some of them, it's just not accurate. So you have to call the insurance company to get the correct details of those things. And then claim submission is its own thing. And then following up with the insurance company to provide proof, send documents, things of that nature. That the whole thing, because it's about communicating with real humans over the phone or over text or over emails, depending on the insurance company. Plus, they have their own portals too. All of that can be AI-ified so that the AI can do all of these things for you, and then you just come to the work that is done. The last one is predicting treatment acceptance for different treatment options. So let's say you go to the exam room, a patient needs a for-surface filling, things, multiple treatments. And then you come and tell your office manager or your treatment coordinator to just come up with, kind of create the treatment plans and then go present it to the patients. But AI can actually predict which treatment option the patient is more likely to accept. And it can actually put together all the data that you want from their insurance kind of coverage and kind of come up with the whole thing so that you just need somebody to go present it. So you still need that person at the end to go talk to the patient and say, hey, these are the options. But at that point that based on what the AI knows about that patient, about the past behavior of that patient, that is the most likely treatment option that they will likely accept. So these are kind of the differences. Now, before we go to the rest of it, one second. So I wanted to kind of give you a demo as what to expect. This is our own product. So this is the Viva AI. I want to you to kind of hear as to what the kind of bleeding edge of AI is. This is a real product that you can actually get today. And this is how you can actually hear the phone system can be answered by an AI. So let me get to that one. Oh, by the way, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do.
Go ahead.
Can AI automate follow-up with insurance denied claims and submit appropriate information via CIFs?
So great question. Thank you so much. Yes, not. So in theory, definitely yes. And that is definitely what we are working on. So what I can tell you is by mid next year, probably all of that is AI-fied already. Right now, the way is step by step, and they are doing it. But theoretically speaking, all of this is very possible. We can actually certainly do it. The next one is, what about the HIPAA compliance? Can we trust AI? Not every AI. That's a good question. So the way it works is there are different levels of the kind of stack that is put on top of each other. When you're buying an AI product, it's not just the AI piece that you have to worry about, it's the rest of it too. But then when you get to the very end of it, depending on how AI is used, it may not be HIPAA compliant. AI by nature is HIPAA compliant because it doesn't have memory when you are using it in the context of how it should be used. It's the ChatGPT app that is built on top of their AI. That application remembers things. It actually knows things. But AI as a kind of a base is memoryless. You just give it, it's a model. You are giving it a thing, it just gives you a response back. As long as nobody is reporting those things, and AI companies that are like at the core AI foundation layer, they are not recording those things. So as long as the company that is offering you that AI solution is not doing anything non-HIPAA compliant, the solution should be HIPAA compliant. But you also have to sign a BAA with them. So any AI product that you actually subscribe to, if they are not signing a BAA with you, they are not HIPAA compliant. They have to sign a BAA with you so that the responsibility is basically moved to them as to, if they are screwing up the data, it's on them, and they legally cannot sign a BAA with you unless they are HIPAA compliant. So that's kind of the main thing. You look at the companies that would sign a BAA for you and that you can trust that way. So it's the business associate, it's the agreement, it's the agreement that they actually give you when a company is HIPAA compliant. You sign a business associate agreement. That's what it stands for, business associate agreement. That's a part of HIPAA. When you are signing up with a software company or anybody like that, if they are touching your patient data, they have to give you this BAA, which basically means they contractually told you that they are HIPAA compliant. So if anything bad happens, and you, God forbid, you ended up in court, that responsibility basically moves to them. Because if you don't have the BAA and you signed up with somebody that is not HIPAA compliant because they didn't sign the BAA with you, then it's on you. But if they sign the BAA and if something bad happens, it's on them. They actually take responsibility for anything bad that happened. I oversimplified it a little bit. It's not exactly this, but it's a good oversimplification. It kind of gives you the idea as to what BAA is. So I'm going to just play a recording of a call. It's actually Elaheh making a call to our own AI to book an appointment. I want you to kind of have an understanding and kind of have an expectation as to what AIs can do today.
You've reached Dentrix Arts Manhattan. How can I assist you today?
Hi, I would like to book an appointment.
What brings you in for a visit today? Do you need a cleaning, checkup, or something else?
I need a cleaning.
Are you a new or existing patient with our office?
I am a new patient.
Can you please tell me your first name?
My first name is Ellie.
What's your last name?
My last name is Johnson.
What's your birthday, including the day, month, and year?
My birthday is January 1st, 1990.
Yeah, I've got that down. What's your email address?
My email is my first name at gmail.com.
What's your phone number?
My phone number is 818-225-3465.
I've got that down. Now, can you please tell me what insurance you have?
I don't have an insurance actually.
Now that I have your insurance information, let's move on to scheduling your appointment. What date would you prefer to come in for your cleaning?
Do you have anything for tomorrow?
Let me check our schedule for tomorrow. We have a few options available. For tomorrow,
Ivana Tinkle at 9 a.m. is actually great.
I've got you down for a cleaning appointment with Ivana Tinkle tomorrow, December 10th at 9 a.m. I'll just need to finalize the booking.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Anything else I need to do?
Just one more thing. Since you're a new patient, we'll need you to arrive about 15 minutes prior to your appointment time to fill out some paperwork. We also offer a free Uber ride to and from your appointment within a 5-mile radius. Would you like me to arrange that for you?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ellie. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 9 a.m. If you have any questions or need to make any changes, feel free to give us a call. Have a great evening.
That is what's possible today. So let me see. Are you currently supporting other non-English patients for yes. So we support 2 different AIs. The ones that we have over the phone is only English for now. We're going to support Spanish and probably a couple of more languages early next year. But the one that we have for writing, so that answers texts and emails that are coming through the office. So the same communication that I had, patients can actually have over a phone, over like texting with your office. But for texting and email, we actually support 157 languages, if I'm not mistaken. So any language that the patients actually talk to, we respond to them in the same exact language.
We talked about how AI can be amazing, but now let's talk about what are some limitations and what are some things that AI is not yet capable of doing. So AI applications are amazing in doing repetitive tasks, mundane tasks, things that require you to have access to a lot of data and make a quick decision. But when it comes to scenarios that are rare or edge cases, something that an AI has never seen before, then the AI model is not going to have any clue on what it needs to do. So it will do something random. These are scenarios that we don't want to trust AI. And in healthcare application, that happens quite often when it comes to diagnosis. Another limitation of these software is that they're not yet able to make accurate medical decision. One of the reasons is the one that I said earlier. So they can act as something that works as an assistant or a second opinion, but you still want a doctor and a professional to actually look at what they've suggested and the doctor to make their own decision. This is one reason that it's a really bad idea to have an app that patients can just upload their photo and have the app tell them what is a potential diagnosis. That's something that should, even if it exists, it should not be something that patients should rely on 100%. Another example that AIs are not necessarily the best at are when it comes to complex or sensitive tasks. For these scenarios, you want the AI to have human supervision. as much as possible, and not let the AI to do that task fully on its own. At the end of the day, the AI system is a machine, and it's never going to be able to replace the kind of human connections that you're going to build with your patients. So the way to look at them is that they are this really smart assistant that they can learn a lot of stuff about your office, and they can do a lot of tasks that are easy or repetitive very quickly, so that you and your office staff can focus on more important things and more exciting and challenging tasks. So we talked about a lot of different applications of AI, and most of the stuff that we talked about, you can kind of categorize them and summarize them into two main groups, generative AI and predictive AI. You may have already heard the word generative AI a lot so far, and one of the applications that probably most of you, if not all, have played around with is ChatGPT. So generative AIs are, as you can probably guess from the name, are the category of models that they are built to create new content. So image generation, ChatGPT, or video generation models are an example of these category. So the phone call that we listened to earlier, that's an example of a generative AI being able to listen to the patient voice and respond back in a voice. And it's building that response on the fly. It's actually creating all of that on the fly. The predictive AI is another category of like models and applications that we talked about a lot today. These are models that they learn trend or pattern of data, and they try to predict what is likely to happen given a new occurrence of a data or an example. Some examples of these AI applications that fall under this category are the treatment acceptance probability that Farid mentioned earlier, and fraud detection that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so an example of generative AI in that you can use in your office is, as we mentioned, is automating communication such as call, text, emails. And a generative AI or an AI can basically take care of all, if not all, most of these communication, inbound and outbound, that you have from your patient to your office.
So this slide, I just wanted to tell you kind of for you to get a feeling about how does, an AI system kind of compare with if you just hire somebody in your office. So how does AI learn? So literally the way it actually works, under the hood is that when you're hiring somebody in the office, so they either come with a few years of experience, or they may not have any experience. So if they're coming with a few years of experience, that means at some point they kind of learned, observed somebody else that was doing some stuff. If they learned it in their previous work, or if they are coming in your office and are shadowing one of your team members, they are collecting data. They are looking at the patterns of how the office is answering calls, how the office is talking to patients, they are taking collections, things like that, things of that nature. So those are the things that, somebody that learns is just a basic understanding of how dentistry works. And then when they come to your office, you have your own rules. You say, hey, this is how we introduce the office. These are the insurances that we are a part of. This is what we are in network with Delta. We are not in network with such and such. So you have your own house rules that you are actually going over with. And then you also expect the team member that you hired to improve over time. All of this is the exact same thing as what the AI does. So, for example, we trained our AI on a bunch of, around like a few million minutes of calls, as to kind of get the basic understanding of how a dental call should be handled. And then our AI has the customization that you can apply office rules to it and say, hey, these are the rules that the AI should kind of abide by for my office. And then you also expect the AI that you use 6 months from today in your office to be better than the AI that you use today. That's exactly like how a normal person in the office works.
So some more example of predictive AI that you can use in your office. One of them that I want to kind of go deeper into is the treatment acceptance probability. So you have, like in your practice, you have years of data of different patients and how which one of them have reacted, or like whether they accepted, how long it took for them to accept. That's something that an AI model can very easily learn, basically learn the pattern of the behavior of different patients and help you predict for a new patient or even existing patients that you have when you're offering them different treatment plans. It will tell you which one of them is more likely for the patient to accept. So you're kind of removing the guesswork out of it, and you're making decisions, having this understanding and insight on what the patient is gonna do. Another way of using this kind of like treatment acceptance probability is, Farid kind of briefly mentioned it, is to fill up your schedule. So instead of having to kind of call every patient that you have that they have upcoming treatments or incomplete treatments, now you can actually order them based on the ones that are more likely to accept their treatment and call those people first. And you go over a list. And this way, instead of like randomly calling and not having any insight or idea of like which one of them is actually more likely, and having your staff spend a lot of hours on doing these communication. And a lot of times you're also annoying the patients, because if they're not going to accept it, you reaching out to them is not a good experience for them.
Ending up with bad Yelp reviews.
This way you're filling your schedule in the most optimized and intelligent way. The patient is happy, you guys are happy, everybody's happy. So that's another example of like using predictive AI and to improve your practice efficiency.
All right, so we are getting towards the end of it. I just in this slide, I wanted to kind of give you some stuff to look for if you're looking for an AI solution for your office. So the very first thing is it should reduce your workload, your staff and your own workload. I know it sounds kind of pretty obvious, but let me explain what I mean by this. So there are AI solutions in the market, and it's not just for dentistry. There are AI solutions all over for different things, including dentistry, that they say, we do this task that we do. But the thing is, the way they are doing that one thing, they are creating so much other things that the net is negative. So they may say, hey, we only answer your calls about scheduling. And it's only about scheduling for new patients, and that's it. So that just, if you think about it, the way it actually would work is that they go in, they filter the calls that they detect so they pick up the call. They kind of detect in the middle of it if this is related to booking a patient. If not, they're just going to do something else with the call. So if they are moving the call back to your office staff, that means a patient called, just mid-conversation, they now have to go to somebody else. And if they are not writing the appointment directly to your appointment, then they have to tell your staff as to what they did. Your staff have to, it goes back and forth between the software and kind of figure out what they did. So the amount of work that your staff now has to do to deal with that one thing that the AI, let's hope, potentially did well, the amount of work, that overhead that they created for your staff is significantly more than the amount of work that they actually did. So this is important to kind of keep in mind when you're looking at a solution. Make sure they are not creating more work. Now, another thing is to allow for human oversight. So if a solution is just saying, it's just trust it, it's going to be fine, we're just going to do it, there is no way to look at how it was done. Terrible. You should not let it. We should make sure that you are actually able to see how it was done, and you should be able to kind of jump in between and kind of take over that thing. Another one is seamless integration with your current system. It should either be the system, so like us, that we are the phone company as well, or just integrate with your practice management, with your phone system, with your payment system. At the end of the day, if they are not controlling a thing, they cannot automate it. If they are not doing something, it's expecting them to automate that thing would create more overhead for your staff. As you mentioned, and good question that you asked for HIPAA compliance, it has to be secure and compliant. They have to sign a business agreement associated with you so that you know they are HIPAA compliant. And at the end of the day, it has to be intuitive and scalable. So before I'll answer the questions in 2 seconds, but so that's kind of finishes our presentation. We're going to send you an email and all that. But so thank you so much for actually being a part of this. Because you spent so much time, you can book